All right, let's jump right in. When you hear the words AI risk, what comes to mind? Probably something out of a movie, right? Like Terminator, Skynet, a rogue superintelligence taking over the world. But what if I told you the real danger, the one that's happening right now? Isn't that at all? What if it's something quieter, more structural, and hiding in plain sight? So let's kick things off with this quote, because it really gets to the heart of it. Think about all the crazy stuff happening in the world. Massive blackouts, supply chains just completely breaking down, climate disasters. We tend to look at each of those things as its own separate, isolated crisis, right? But what if they're not separate at all? What if they're all just symptoms of one single underlying condition?
And that underlying condition, well, the source material calls it a deeper blindness. It's this idea that we've built our entire civilization, our entire world, in these little specialized boxes, or silos. You've got one team over here, one industry over there, and each one is an expert at solving problems at their specific scale. But here's the kicker. They're completely blind to what's happening at all the other scales.
I mean, just think about it for a second. At the huge macro level, you've got global climate policy, right? People tracking tons of carbon across the whole planet. Then you zoom in a bit to the meso level, and you've got conservationists, counting species in a forest. Zoom in again, and you have economists totally focused on GDP growth. And then you zoom all the way down to the micro level, and you've got your smart thermostat at home, learning your daily routine. Each one of these is, honestly, a marvel of optimization in its own little world. But they don't talk to each other at all. They're structurally, fundamentally blind to one another. Okay, this is where it gets really clear. Let's take a real-world example, a big storm that hit Portugal. You've got the forestry department, and all they're worried about is the timber yield. Then you have the energy operator, and for them, it's all about down power lines. The economist comes in, whips out a calculator, and just sees billions of dollars in damage. And then there's the family. What do they see? Nothing. They're just sitting in the dark with no power. See what's happening? Nobody is connecting the dots. Nobody's seeing that the weak, shallow-rooted trees, the fragile power grid, and the isolated community, they aren't separate problems. They're all part of the exact same interconnected system that's failing. Okay, so we've got this deeply fragmented, siloed world. And what do we decide to do? Well, we decide to pour gasoline on the fire. We're injecting the most powerful optimization tool in human history, AI, right into the heart of this broken system. And this is where the problem goes into overdrive.
And here's the thing you've got to understand. We are not building a single, all-knowing artificial general intelligence. We're not building Skynet. What we are building is thousands upon thousands of little, artificial, specialized intelligences. Super smart, but very narrow. One AI to make the power grid more efficient, another one to optimize supply chains, another one to manage traffic flow. And we're plugging every single one of them right into those same blind silos we just talked about.
So this really spells out the difference. The fear everyone talks about, the singularity, right? That's one big bad AI that wakes up and decides to take over. It's a great movie plot, but it's pretty far out there. The real risk, the one happening right now, is fragmentation. This is where you have 1,000 super efficient but totally blind AIs. Each one is doing its job perfectly. But because they can't see the whole picture, they accidentally cause the entire system to collapse. It's not a malicious takeover. It's an accidental side effect. And that's not some distant sci-fi threat. It's an immediate structural danger. Yeah, just let that sink in. The extinction level threat isn't a malicious AI. It's an obedient AI. It's an AI that gets so unbelievably good at the one narrow thing we told it to do that it completely ignores the complex web of life it's destroying as a side effect. All right, I know, that sounds terrifying, super bleak, but stick with me here because this is the pivot. This is where the whole story flips. Because the most important part of this isn't just seeing the problem. It's that once you see the problem this clearly, the solution starts to come into focus too. And the solution isn't about slamming the brakes on AI. Nope. It's about finally building that missing connective tissue for our civilization. And the foundation for it, our unexpected hero in this story, turns out to be something we see every day. Something that's been hiding in plain sight for more than 100 years. Yep, it's the good old-fashioned public utility. I know, it sounds kind of crazy, right? The power company? But when you really stop and look at it, it is literally the only institution that's in the perfect position to be the foundation for this new, connected way of doing things. So why the utility? What makes it so special? Well, there are 4 huge reasons. First,
They are physically stuck to the ground. They are rooted in a real place. Second, they are regulated for the public good. I mean, it's in their DNA. Third, they think long-term. We're talking 50 or even 100-year plans, not just next quarter's earnings report. And maybe the most important reason of all, they are universally connected. Their wires and pipes literally touch every single home, every business, every part of the ecosystem in their area. So here's the big reframe. We have to stop thinking of the utility as this clunky, old, outdated problem. We need to see it for what it really is, an unfinished platform. It's like this incredible hardware, this substrate that's already physically connecting everything. It's just waiting for the right software, the right protocol to come along and light up all that potential. Okay, so if the utility is the hardware, the platform, what's the software? What's the operating system? Well, this is what the source material calls the completion protocol. It's basically a new OS for our civilization. And at the core of this new OS is a totally new kind of organization. It's called a regenerative entity, or an RE for short. Just picture a local team, a coalition, made up of the utility, some tech companies, and, this is key, community leaders. And their job isn't just to build more power lines. No way. Their job is to create value across all the scales, from the health of the soil and the ground, to the wealth of the community, to the stability of the power grid. They connect it all. But how do you pay for all this, right? This is the brilliant part. It funds itself. The RE team goes out and finds all this value. We're talking maybe $1 billion worth that's just stuck, stranded between all those silos. Then they take just a tiny piece of that, like 1%, as startup capital to launch a project that unlocks the rest. And when they do, almost all of that new value, like 98%, flows right back to the people who created it, the community, the partners. And the last couple of percent, that gets reinvested to kick off the next project. It's this awesome, recursive, regenerative engine for creating wealth that's real and holistic. And what about AI in all this? This is where AI gets a new job. It's not a blind optimizer anymore. In this new system, AI becomes what's called the proof agent. It's the thing that can actually see across all the scales at once. It can verify, for example, that when you make the grid more resilient, you're also making the local watershed healthier, and you're also building wealth in the community. AI stops being a tool for fragmentation and becomes a tool for coherence. So, at the end of the day, all of this leads to a choice. A really big, really urgent choice. We're basically standing at a fork in the road, and the two paths ahead couldn't be more different. And here they are, laid out plain and simple. Path 1. We can be the fragmentation accelerator. We just keep doing what we're doing. We pour AI into the same old silos, and you know what we get? Smarter blackouts, faster extinctions. We use AI to accelerate our own collapse. Or there's path 2, the substrate activator. We use the utilities as an anchor. We build this new connective layer, this protocol, and we turn AI into a tool for systemic coherence. It's a pretty stark choice. And let's be really clear about the goal here. This isn't about becoming planetary managers, trying to control everything from the top down. It's actually the complete opposite. It's about becoming better planetary participants. It's about finally having the tools to see, understand, and work with the incredible complexity of the world we actually live in. So I want to leave you with this one last thought, because I think it's so important. We're always talking about disruption, right? Disrupt this, disrupt that. But maybe, just maybe, the answer isn't to tear everything down. Maybe the real important work is to look at the amazing systems we've already built, like the utility, and ask a different question. How can we complete them? How can we help them finally deliver on the promise of the connected world they were always meant to create?